ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಕೇಲಿ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ಸಪ್ತಋಷಿಗಳ ಪಾದಾವೃಂದದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಸ್ಕರಿಸುತ್ತಾ ಇಂದಿನ ಈ ರಾಜ್ಯ ಮಟ್ಟದ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ವೆಬಿನಾರ್ ಅನ್ನು ಆರಂಭಿಸುತ್ತಿದ್ದೇವೆ. I request all the delegates for better audio experience. Please use headphone and mute yourself on your entry. Thank you. ಸಕಲ ಜೀವರಾಶಿಗಳ ಒಳಿತಿಗಾಗಿ ಕಾಯಕ ದಾಸೋಹ ಸಮಾನತೆಯ ದಿವ್ಯ ಮಂತ್ರವನ್ನು ಬೋಧಿಸಿ ಅನುಸರಿಸಿ ಪ್ರಚುರಪಡಿಸಿ ಮನುಕುಲವನ್ನು ಉದ್ಧರಿಸಿದ ಮಹಾನ್ ಮಾನವತಾವಾದಿ ಕಾಯಕ ಯೋಗಿ ವಿಶ್ವ ಮಾನವ ಶ್ರೀ ಬಸವೇಶ್ವರ ಜಯಂತಿಯ ಶುಭಾಶಯಗಳು. ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಜಗಜ್ಯೋತಿ ಬಸವಣ್ಣನವರ ಜಯೋತ್ಸವದ ಶುಭಾಶಯಗಳು. Good afternoon and cordial welcome to one and all. I'm Dr. Pratibha KS, NSS Program Officer and Head Department of Biotechnology from Keli Society's S. Nijlingappa College, Rajajinagar, Bengaluru. Today, Keli Society's S. Nijlingappa College, NSS unit organizing IQAC initiated state-level webinar on identifying and responding to human trafficking and sexual abuse. Today, we have organized this webinar as part of institutional social responsibility. Today, we have with us Mrs. Ravina Adam, research scholar, AST, a trainer, Mr. Anuj Barbas, a project coordinator from ASTC as a moderator. Respected today's speaker, principal, IQAC coordinator, heads of various departments, esteemed colleagues, delegates, NSS program officer, students and NSS volunteers. Before proceeding towards today's state-level webinar, I feel it is my privilege and honor to introduce briefly about Institute of Keli Society's S. Nijlingappa College. Keli Society is one of the prestigious and largest educational society, not only in India but also at global level, under the dynamic leadership of Honorable Chairman Dr. Prabhakar B. Koreji sir. The society proudly manages with elevated number of institutions up to 270 in various fields and of education, including research in India and abroad, a quality concept. Ladies and gentlemen, Keli Society's S. Nijlingappa College, affiliated to Bengaluru City University, re-accredited by NAC at A+ grade college with UGC Stride Component 1. College is offering science, arts, commerce, and management courses. Yes, Nijlingappa College has been forefront in having many online programs for the benefit of the society. Keli Society's S. Nijlingappa College management welcomes all the delegates for this state-level webinar on identifying and responding to human trafficking and sexual abuse. The main sole objective of today's webinar is to create awareness on human trafficking and sexual abuse. Any occasion needs divine blessings of the Lord Almighty. Let us invoke divine grace of Lord by Miss Sagari Gowda, NSS volunteer, Keli Society's S. Nijlingappa College. Over to Miss Sagari.
Thank you, ma'am. ಶರಣು ನಿನಗೆ ಶರಣು ವಿನಾಯಕ ಶರಣು ನಿನಗೆ ಶರಣು ವಿನಾಯಕ ವಿನಾಯಕ ತ್ಯನಾಯಕ ದೇವ ವಿನಾಯಕ ನಿತ್ಯನಾಯಕ ಶರಣು ನಿನಗೆ ಶರಣು ವಿನಾಯಕ ಶರಣು ಶರಣು ಆಶಾ ಕುಶಧರ ಶಿಖವಾ ಗಜಾನ ಆಶಾ ಕುಶಧರ ಶಿಖವಾ ಗಜಾನ ಮುಜಿತನಿ
Thank you, Ms. Sagari. That was really a beautiful rendition. Ladies and gentlemen, we have amongst us Mrs. Ravina Adam, research scholar, AST, a trainer and today's speaker. And Mr. Anuj Barbas, a project coordinator, ASTC, as a moderator. On behalf of Kaylee Societies, S. Nijalingappa College, management, principal, heads of various department, faculty, and on behalf of NSS volunteer, we welcome you, sir and madam. Thank you, Ravina and Anuj, for joining us.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
So
I would
today's
like to
talk.
welcome Honorable Principal Dr. Arun Kumar B. Sonappanawar, who is the driving force behind all our NSS activities of S. Nijalingappa College programs. We welcome you to this webinar, sir. I also welcome IQAC coordinator, heads of various department, esteemed colleagues, delegates, NSS volunteers, NSS program officer from different colleges, and students fraternity to this webinar. Now, I request Mr. Anuj Barbas, a project coordinator AHTC, to continue today's webinar. Over to Mr. Anuj.
Thank you, ma'am. So I will be introducing the topic to us. So the topic, as you all know, is about human trafficking and sexual abuse. So how many of you here know what human trafficking is? So let me give you a brief introduction of what human trafficking is. Just a minute. Yeah. So let me give you a brief introduction of what human trafficking is. Human trafficking involves the use of force, fraud, or coercion to obtain some type of labor or commercial sexual act. It involves selling of people against their wish, especially women and children, to perform menial labor or illicit sexual acts. The freedom of such people is lost, and that is why a social worker goes on rescue missions to provide safety to the people. So it is my honor to introduce the trainer for today, Ms. Ravina Adam. So let me just give you a brief of what Ms. Ravina Adam is doing. Ms. Ravina Adam is a social worker who is actively involved in the field of anti-human trafficking. She has rescued several victims on human trafficking. She has also been supporting both India and Canada to help find potential solutions to end slavery and violence. Currently, she is doing a doctoral research on finding and understanding the crime of cyber sex trafficking in Canada. Thank you. Over to you, Ravina.
Just before I start, I just want to thank Mr. Anuj for a kind welcome. I want to also thank Dr. Pratibha. I know how hardworking she has been in the last 2 weeks to get all of you here on this platform. I want to thank you, ma'am. And I also want to thank the principal and everyone else who has been a part of the technology team just to bring all of us together on this platform. Thank you for all of you, especially for coming and being a part of our webinar today. Not wasting much of your time, I am just going to share. I want to share a video with you all first. I want to just start with a video. Can I get a heads up or a thumbs up? Okay, thank you, Mahima. Okay, I won't be showing you the entire video.
Ms. Ravina, if you could just put it on full screen, it would be great.
मैं 17 साल की थी जब मेरी मौत हुई। अच्छा हुआ मैं आंध्र प्रदेश के चित्तूर डिस्ट्रिक्ट की हूँ। मैं वहाँ अपने 5 बहनों और 3 भाइयों के साथ बहुत गरीबी में रहती थी। मैं 12 साल की थी कि मेरा चचेरा भाई एक लड़के को मेरे माता पिता से मिलाने लाया। उसने मेरे माता पिता को कुछ पैसे दिए और मुझसे शादी कर ली। मैं खुश थी। अमर था उसका नाम। वो मुझे दिल्ली ले गए और उसने मुझसे कहा कि नया घर मिलने तक मैं अपने चचेरे भाई के साथ ही रहूं। मैं अभी भी खुश थी, लेकिन कोई घर नहीं था, कोई फैमिली नहीं थी। मुझे बेच दिया गया था। और मुझे वेश्या बनने पर मजबूर किया गया। मेरे अपने माता पिता और भाई ने मिलकर मुझे बेच दिया। मेरे पति को। कैसा पति? उसकी 12 बार पहले शादी हो चुकी थी और ये मुझे वहां की लड़कियों ने बताया, पर मैंने मना कर दिया। भले ही मेरे माता पिता ने मुझे बेच दिया हो, मैं इस देश की बेटी थी। मैंने साफ मना कर दिया और सजा भी मिली। उन्होंने मुझे मारा, भूखा रखा, तब तक मारा जब तक मैंने उनकी बात नहीं मानी। मेरा कई बार बलात्कार किया गया, मुझे 5 बार बच्चा गिराना पड़ा, मुझे HIV हो गया और फिर एक दिन मैं मर गई।
Um, so yeah.
Just give me a moment. I just want
Ms.
to share
Ravina,
my
are
screen.
you there? Yeah.
I'm here. I'm just going to be sharing my
Sorry about the technical snag.
Are you all able to see my screen? Can I get a thumbs up again, please? So sorry, we have to keep doing this online. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Vaishnavi. Thank you, ma'am. I see a lot of you from KLE have joined. First of all, I just want to tell you all, Nanu Bengaluru Kine. So please be, free when you have this conversation with me. If you have any doubts about any English terms that have been used here, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ನನ್ನ ಕೇಳ್ರಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. And also, this is not like a training. I want you all to enjoy while you learn about this crime by itself. It is a very important crime. What I'm going to be presenting to you all ivattu is going to be very real. Yen aagta ide nam society alli, nam samajadalli yen aagta ide anta I'm going to be presenting that to you all today. But I don't want you all to shy away from reality. I don't want you all to shy away from what is happening in our society. I want you all to be witnesses. I want you all to be testimonies to stand up to this cause and fight this crime. Okay, and any doubts, ಏನಾದ್ರೂ doubts ಇದೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಕೇಳಿ. English ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳಿ, ಕನ್ನಡ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳಿ. I'll try my best. If I know, I'll be able to answer you all. But all that I wanted to tell you all, can you be a bit louder? Is this better? Is that better? Okay, awesome. So I just wanted to say that English alladru okay, Kannada alladru okay, another questions ಇದೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಕೇಳಿ ನನಗೆ, because I want you all to ask questions at the end of this session if you have any questions. But I want you all to enjoy this entire session as you learn, and let's not make it like a classroom session, but I hope you all enjoy as you learn. So first of all, our conversation today is going to be on identifying and responding to human trafficking. Human trafficking in Kannada means manava kalla sagane and sexual abuse by itself. So let's just learn. Today, my agenda to you all is going to be, what is human trafficking? Why does human trafficking happen? How do we stop or curb human trafficking? What are the solutions to it? And if you ever find human trafficking, because you're all pretty smart, like I can see, if you go on streets and if you find them, what are you all supposed to do about it, right? These are some of the things that we will be talking about today. Okay, and my aim today is, at the end of the session, I want you all to define what human trafficking is, identify what human trafficking is, and respond to this crime. I don't want you all to be like all of us, there's so many bystanders, tumba jana idare who will just be standing there and who will be looking at this crime, and which is why we're not able to do anything to this crime. I want you all from KLE to stand up for this crime. I want you all, when you see this crime, to go and report to people, right? And that is what we would be doing in this session. Quickly going, what is human trafficking? Do we have the option of unmuting and just asking questions? Can we ask the students?
Yeah, you want interaction with students?
Yeah, if that is a possibility. If not, no problem.
Okay, yeah, students can unmute. If they raise their hand, no, we can make them
Yeah.
unmute.
If any of you want to speak, please like raise your hands on WebEx, like ma'am would be able to help with that. Do any of you know what is human trafficking? Please don't read and tell me the answer. What do you all think human trafficking is?
So,
It's an interactive session, so moderator will be there. Even he'll help with this. If you have
yes.
any kind of queries, and in between, if you want to ask, you can interact. And if you put your message in chat box, I'll unmute. Thank you.
Yeah, so like Miss Ravina was asking you all, so do not look at the screens and at your screens, but just in your own words, if you could tell us what human trafficking is. So if anybody wants to go ahead and attempt. Yes,
Rekha
Rekha.
Nayak says,
Yeah, Rekha. Yeah.
yes.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes. Go ahead, Rekha.
Yeah. The basic concept of this human trafficking is basically wherein you have buying and selling of women, children, sometimes even men alike. So this is nothing but form of exploitation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rekha.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to go ahead and give out answers? Because I saw that people were answering in the chat box. So if you could,
This is Manjunath Kalala.
yeah, there was somebody called by the name Manjunath Kalal. So if you could give out an answer, because I saw that you had answered on the chat box. So if you could give out your answer.
ಸರ್ ಮಾನವ ಮತ್ತು ಮಾನವ ಸಾಗಾಣಿಕೆ ಮತ್ತು ಅನೇಕ ರೀತಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾನವನ ಸಾಗಾಣಿಕೆ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತದೆ. ಹೇಗಪ್ಪ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮಾನವ ಮತ್ತು ಇನ್ನಿತರೆ ಪ್ರಾಣಿ ಪಕ್ಷಿಗಳನ್ನು ಮತ್ತು ಮಹಿಳೆಯರನ್ನು ಒಂದು ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಕರೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ ಮಾರಾಟ ಮಾಡುವುದನ್ನು ಮಾನವ ಟ್ರಾಫಿಕಿಂಗ್ ಎಂದು ಕರೆಯುತ್ತಾರೆ ಸರ್.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's somebody by the name of Shashank. If you would like to answer, is Mr. Shashank? Mr. Shashank, would you like to go ahead and give out your answer?
Okay, that's not a problem. Thank
Yeah.
you all. Whoever's answered, thank you so much. We'll get back to everyone else. ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಯಾರ್ಯಾರ ಚಾಟ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ whatever you have answered, it's totally right? Human trafficking is the buying and selling of flesh trade or any other kind of trade that involves human body is called human trafficking in simple terms. And I really liked what Manjunath ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ನಂಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಯ್ತು. ಅವ್ರು ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. It's not just to do with countries, it's also to do with states, right? If I sell somebody from Bangalore to Chennai, it's still human trafficking, right? So let's just go to the definition given by UNODC.
Thank you,
It
madam.
is anything that involves the use of force to obtain any type of labor or commercial sex act is called human trafficking. So let me give you a fact. Did you all know that throughout the world, right? Through the world, there are still 40 billion enslaved. There's still 40 billion who are enslaved. They're waiting to be rescued, right? It is given by International Labour Organization and an organization called Walk Free Foundation. They did a research in 2017 and they said that there are 40 million who are still waiting to be enslaved. So in my terms, I've quickly put out a small 2-line description. Human trafficking is a crime that forcefully exploits women, men, and children, right? So, I just wanted to tell you that human trafficking is not something that happens from a country to another country. It can happen from state to state. It can happen from province to province, territory to territory. It can happen from one street to the other streets. We have gone on rescues where the girl's house would just be in this street, but she would have been sold to the person on the next street. So that is also human trafficking. Right. So you all pretty well know about what human trafficking is. And then we go to the next slide. And so the next slide is about, let's know our audience. Who is human trafficking? What is human trafficking? And why does human trafficking happen? Firstly, a lot of people say, someone said that males and females get trafficked. It is true, but a lot of females get trafficked rather than males. So 71% of females get trafficked, which means that 29% of males get trafficked too, but mostly it is concentrated on females. So in India, the major hubs for the destination state, ivaga destination state, what does it mean? It just means that there is a source, there's a transit, and there's a destination. Destination andre yen drop off state or drop off city, what anta iruttalla, that is called the destination state. And why is it called the destination state? Because you get a lot of money in the destination state. So what are the 5 destination states? One is Bangalore, second one is Mumbai, third one is Chennai, fourth one is Delhi, and fifth one is Kolkata. These are the 5 places which are the major hubs for destination state of human trafficking. They bring them from poor cities, poor countries, poor states, and then they put them in all these 5 places. Why? To get good money, right? So the gross product, how much is the profit of this entire crime? It is $150 billion dollars per annum. Good money, right? At the end of the day, $150 per annum is a good money. And like I already told you that there are 40 million in slavery. They're still waiting to be rescued. And which is why we need you all, because you probably will be saving a lot of people from slavery. Another fun fact, it's not fun, but then, they had put it as a fun fact in one of the places. It's 1 in 4 children get trafficked. Can you imagine 1 in 4 children? Like in India, at least, in each household at least has 2 or 3 kids, right? In that one child gets trafficked. That is how grievous this crime is. That is how horrible this crime is. That is, I don't know. I have no solutions as of now to give you, but in future talks, we will definitely requesting. I don't know what this is. Okay, so these were some of the facts that I wanted to give you all before we go ahead. Also, to know our audience, what did I do in human trafficking? ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಮಾನವ ಕಳ್ಳ ಸಾಗಣೆ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು crime ಅಲ್ಲಿ? What do they do with all these people? Why do they buy and why do they sell all these people? It is for these reasons as listed. Firstly, it is for the recruitment of children in armed forces. It's just put in a very nice way. Basically, it means to put them as child soldiers or to put them in Naxal teams, right? That's what it means. Secondly, as domestic servitude. So many places, so many houses we've gone to, we've seen little children work there. We've seen so many women work there. And this is because of human trafficking. Organ trafficking. You give me one of your kidney, you give me your heart, I'll give you this much of money. It's secure. Your life is secure. Your people are secure. Your family is secure. That is because of human trafficking. Forced marriage. You get married to this person when you're 15 years old and he will sell you to 10 more other people. It's human trafficking. Sex trafficking. So I wanted to tell you all one thing, that sex trafficking is completely different to prostitution. Prostitution is I am willing to give my body to you and you can do whatever you want with my body. But sex trafficking is I am going to kidnap this person. I'm going to take this person from a poor condition by lying to her or by doing different things with her. And then I'm going to put her in another state so that I will be able to get money. Yeah. Forced labor and bonded labor. I have a lot of work to do in construction sites, in bag units, in factories, in industries, in pani puri places where I have gone and rescued. All these places have labor. You require labor in all these places, which means you need to be working more hours with less money for me so that I'll be able to give you that minimum money. For example, let me tell you, so we did a rescue and in that rescue, they were paid 50 rupees per day, 50 rupees per day. And what they had to do is basically make bricks, right? And they were paid 50. And they were telling me, I was asking them as to, sir, why did you even come here for 50 rupees? And they were saying, ma'am, we absolutely don't have money with us. We come from such poor cities. I'll have to feed my children. And this is the only way I can get at least 50 rupees per day. And I'm able to give something to my child, and which is why I'm working here, right? So that is bonded labor at the end of the day. And then we go to child labor. Child labor is something that we all know. There's so many people who are on the streets. They're very smart. They're smarter than us. They sell stickers, they sell flowers, they sell so many things on street. And when you ask them, do you go to school? The first question you ask them is, school ಹೋಗ್ತೀರಾ ನೀವು ಅಂತ. ಅವ್ರು ಏನಂತಾರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ? ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ, ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಗೆನೆ ಹೋಗೋದು ನಾವು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದೇ actually they won't be going to any school. Why? Because they are labored by another supervisor. So this is why human trafficking happens. Next, where does human trafficking happen? You'll be shocked to know where all it happens. Wherever you go, human trafficking happens, right? Human trafficking happens in hospitals. That's where organ donation happens. There's this concept in big cities and in big countries called surrogacy, which is also coming to India, and it's already come to India. It's not very well known. Surrogacy happens in hospitals. That is also a form of human trafficking if you don't pay them well. Hotels, resorts, restaurants, homes, PGs. I have been a part of a rescue where we had gone to a PG once. Second floor of the PG was filled with girls who were giving their bodies to men and customers. The first level of the PG were all the CA students who were sitting there, absolutely no clue of what is happening in the second floor. That's how this crime is. It happens in spas, parlors. When I say spas, I remember another rescue that we were a part of. So in this spa, little girls, small girls were recruited so that they can give massages, right? And it is not something to be ashamed of. Like I said today, I am not ashamed of this crime. I want this crime to end. And if you want this crime to end, you can't be ashamed of this. So tomorrow, if you're going to the parlor, if you're going to a salon, if you're going to a spa, and if you can see small children out there, if you can see women who are sad there, then you definitely need to report it to your institution head. You need to tell them to get in touch with somebody to see that something can be done to those women or children, right? We also see them in factories, construction units, and labor units. We see them from agriculture to industries. You name it, and you can find human trafficking there. There is no sector where human trafficking does not happen. Why does human trafficking happen? So human trafficking happens basically for four main reasons, which is 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? As I say. The first one is called poverty. Like we know, India is still a developing nation. We know a lot of places where poverty still exists. We know that BPL cards are still being issued. We know that minimum wages are still something that has been that is still being on a fight with, right? All this because of poverty. We know children getting uneducated. We know that they don't have clothing. We know they don't have food. Why? All of that is because of poverty. So why they get into human trafficking is because imagine if I am a supervisor, or if I'm a perpetrator, or if I'm a middleman, if I go to somebody who is a BPL today, below poverty line, and if I tell them, I will pay you 50,000, you'll have to come and stay with me for the entire year. And you will have to go ahead with how many ever customers I tell you, or you will have to, make how many ever bricks I tell you, how many ever pani puris I tell you, how many ever bags I tell you. Will they be willing to come with me? Yes, they'll be willing to come with me because 50,000 is a big amount. But then, is it okay on my part to make them work for one entire year for that 50,000? It's not okay on my part, right? So poverty is one of the main reasons why human trafficking happens. Secondly, lack of education. People don't know. They are absolutely not aware of this crime called human trafficking. They are okay with taking the 50,000, going with the perpetrator, rather than saying no. 50,000 is not the amount you give me for making bricks. 1,50,000 is what you should be giving me for 2 months. But I have never in my entire term in working with anti-human trafficking seen anybody who is able to do that kind of a math, right? So lack of education by itself. People don't even speak, they don't even talk, they don't even ask questions. That is the kind of awareness that we are living with in our society. Thirdly, cheap labor. I was actually talking to someone very recently and I was telling them how if I break a wall, if I break something today, I can get cheap labor like this in India, right? For how much? For 500, he'll come and he'll fix the wall for me. But in any abroad country, do you know how much it is to fix a wall? It is at least for about $100. It is, I think, for about more than 5,000 to 6,000 to get your wall fixed. That is why they constantly keep saying that you'll have to give them minimum wages at least. So because of this cheap labor, there is human trafficking.
Madam, can't hear anything. Madam, please speak. Last 5 minutes, I am not able to hear anything.
Okay, kindly be louder. And also, dear delegates, kindly you sit in a place where you could get a proper network also. Over to speaker.
My Wi-Fi is on full length, so
Now
if you're not able to,
now your voice is clear. Bit
it's
louder.
okay.
Okay. Bit
All
louder.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can go ahead, Ms. Ravina. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry for the
Okay.
interruption.
So the other one is demand for sex, right? This is something that is not spoken about in our society, but then it happens in our society. Wherever you go, whatever you do, how many ever children you want to sell, how many ever women you want to sell, they're all willing to take that money. They're all willing to take the women. They're all willing to take the children for sex, right? At the end of the day, they want pleasure. Another thing that happens is conflict and natural disasters. So imagine there's already a family who's poor. There's already a family who's going through so much poverty, and then there's a natural disaster. For example, the pandemic. What will they do at this point of time? They can't do anything, but what they will do is trust the perpetrator. They will trust the perpetrator, or they will, trust a person like me who wants to go and bring them into my field, or who wants me to sort of, like the, what do you call them? You call it as deception. That is what happens during natural disasters. For example, when the whole issue of tsunami happened, right? In the 2000s, when the tsunami occurred, uh, there was no record of how many children had passed away. There was no record of how many women were missing. That is because of human trafficking. That was the first time they figured, okay, fine, we need to have records of people. When there's something called as pandemic, when there's something called as conflict, when there's something like natural disasters that happen now, we need to have records. And that is why this time during the pandemic, we see that the women and child development is coming up with a model, they're coming up with a process, they're coming up with so many things in place for children who are abandoned. ಈ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಇಂದ ಏನಾಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಮ್ಮ ಸಾಯ್ತಾ ಇದಾರೆ, ಅಪ್ಪ ಸಾಯ್ತಾ ಇದಾರೆ, ಮನೇಲಿ ಯಾರು ಇಲ್ಲ, ಮಕ್ಳು ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ they put on the streets. So for them, the women and child department are saying, please give them to childline ಅಂದ್ರೆ 1098. Why is that happening? It's because they don't want them to get into the hands of the trafficker. In case they get into the hands of the trafficker, what happens is, for example, a 5-year-old child, the mother dies because of COVID, father dies because of COVID, the grandparents are not there. This 5-year-old gets into human trafficking. You never know what's going to happen to this child. Whether she's going to be a sex laborer tomorrow, whether she's going to be in slavery, whether her hands and legs are going to be cut off, whether her heart is going to be taken out, her kidney is going to be taken out, we don't know. And this is what is happening to humans today. We are just taking humans for granted when it comes to this whole point, right? There are also social factors that come into place, and there's also cultural factors. For example, cultural factors like the Devdasi system. Even if we tell them that, this is not how it's supposed to be, India has come forward. From where we are, we have sort of improved. This is not how we're supposed to be treating women. They're not going to take your opinion, however educated you are. They're going to say, ನಾವು ತುಂಬಾ ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಇದ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಮೇಡಮ್, ತುಂಬಾ ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ನಮ್ ಅಜ್ಜಿ ಅವರು, ಅವ್ರ ಅಜ್ಜಿ ಅವರು ಆ ಕಾಲದಿಂದ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಇದು. We need to give our bodies to God. We need to give our song. We need to give our dance. You can't do anything at that point. It's a cultural factor. Migration. This is the best example for the pandemic situation. Pandemic situation ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ how many people from Bihar walked back. How many people from Odisha walked back because of this? And in between, we have no idea what happened to them. There was a call that we got during this pandemic. The woman gave birth to her child in the middle of the road, and she had absolutely nothing. There was no hospital. There was nothing to do with safety tools. There was nothing happening. She just gave birth on the road, on streets. Why? Because she was a migrant. She came from another place, and they did not have a place for her here, right? Because of all this, human trafficking happens. Right. Another 5 reasons why human trafficking happens. One is patriarchy, that women are not allowed to talk. Males are allowed to talk. Males are allowed to make discussions. Males are allowed to make decisions for them. Women just can't talk. If a man says, you need to go with this person, you need to go with this person. And which is why so many people are asking women to speak up, because they shouldn't be misused for keeping quiet. Secondly, social constructs and social sanctions, like I already mentioned to you. Powerlessness. Women don't know. They don't know if they talk like this, what is going to happen. From generations, women are asked to keep quiet. Even now, I see so many women who are educated. Their families tell them, keep quiet, it's okay, go ahead, go through, it's okay. If you get married, if your husband says do this, it's okay, it's okay. So what if the husband tells me go with the trafficker? Am I supposed to go? Finally, the woman goes with the trafficker because she doesn't know how to question. That is the question of powerlessness when it comes to women, and which is why all you women out here on this meeting, you learn to talk, okay, and you learn to tell all other women to speak up for your rights. Another thing is gender-based violence. A lot of men also come and tell us we rescue both men and women. It's not just like women only, but men tell us men also get rescued. But like I told you, all statistics tell us that women also get rescued at a higher rate when compared to men. Right? There is a gender-based violence when it comes to human trafficking. So finally, to conclude, why does human trafficking happen? It happens because there is a demand and because there's a supply. Suppose I tell you I don't have a supply, human trafficking will automatically come down. But then there is a need for demand and supply, which is why this happens. Going to how does human trafficking happen? There is a source, there is a transit, there is a destination. So when I say source, let me give you an example. Now suppose I want to travel to Kashmir. Naniva Kashmir go bekondre. Source state will be Bangalore, transit state will be Delhi, destination state nange Kashmir agutte. It's as simple as that. So either in the source state or in the transit state or in the destination state, I can get trafficked, right? Because I don't know who can come, who can lure me, who can traffic me. So that is what they mean. Source state is the source state of pickup, transit is the middle state, and destination is the final state where they'll drop you off. All right. So these are the places of the source state: tea estates, refugee camps, rehabilitation camps, disaster areas, like I told you, areas with drought, flood, acute poverty places, Mumbai, Bihar. There is also Odisha that falls into this category. Childcare homes, schools, hospitals, markets, railway stations, bus stands, tourist operators, and so many other places can be your source state. Your transit state is usually the transport states, like your custom offices, your airports, your bus stations, railway stations, because usually there's no one-to-one end. Like if I take a train or a bus or anything from one place, it doesn't drop me off to the other place immediately if it is not a metro place, right? So that will become your transit situation. Your destinations will be your abortion clinics, your hospitals, your tourist places, your massage parlors, your where else can we see? We can also see them in legal and illegal factories, residential homes, and placement homes, including other things that I told you, like PG and other examples that I have given you. So during the pandemic, there were a lot of questions that came to me even before I could speak as to what happened during the pandemic. During the pandemic, there were 727 cases registered on domestic violence, 92,000 calls of child abuse that happened. And do you know when this happened? It did not happen like now. It happened in the first month, that is April 2020, the statistics of it. Which means in your first month of lockdown, in your first month of the pandemic, after they declared, yes, there is a pandemic that is happening, all of you stay back at home, this happened, right? This is not done. This is not done in our society. And there was also reverse trafficking happened. Reverse trafficking is something where I already go rescue a person and then I put them in a safe place. And because of pandemic, they go to these safe places and they take them from these safe places and re-traffic them. That is what happened during the pandemic. It was not easy for all these people during the pandemic. We all were sitting at home. We all had our Zoom calls, our WebEx calls that were in place, but it was very difficult for the poor and for the vulnerable, right? So how can I identify human trafficking? So yesterday I put out all this for you all because I want you all to go out and I want you all to identify human trafficking. Firstly, they appear malnourished. They are definitely not given good food like you and me. They are given one ganji kottare, one mudde kottare, illandre anna salpa anna kottare. That's all they give. So because of that, there is malnourishment that happens. Secondly, they show signs of physical injuries. Wherever you see human trafficking, you definitely see injuries because people resist. I will not go with them. I will cry, I will weep, I will beg them. And because of this, they beat me. There'll be wounds on my face, there'll be wounds on my hip, there'll be wounds everywhere on my body, especially on my hands. And when you see that, it's definitely a human trafficking identifier. The third thing that we see is lack of official identifying documents. This is a very interesting one because when we went for a rescue, the owner was telling us this is human trafficking illa madam idu ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ನಾನು ಆಧಾರ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ, this is not human trafficking, you please come, you check their Aadhaar cards. Little did he know, when we were checking all of their Aadhaar cards, something that we saw was everybody's name is different, everybody's address is different, their parental names and addresses are different, their birthday was all same. It was Jan 1 2000, Jan 1 2000, Jan 1 2000. And we asked them as to how 22 girls that you have kidnapped, that you have put them into human trafficking, can all be born on the same day. And he didn't have an answer to it. So anytime you see a victim with human trafficking, please do ask them for their official identification, like their Aadhaar card, and you will get to know whether they're trafficked or whether they're not. Excessively work for long hours. I have seen people who have worked for 22 hours, and I have seen people who have worked at a stretch for like 3 to 4 days. And that is not done because your human body does not have that kind of a capacity to work for that long. Okay, even if they work for that long, are they paid? They're not paid. So that is wrong. That is human trafficking. Living at the place of employment, usually when it comes to bonded labor or forced labor, they work inside the construction facilities, right? So that is human trafficking. You cannot ask anybody to live there and lock them up with a supervisor who comes with you wherever you go and who, physically abuses you, emotionally abuses you, financially abuses you. You can't have that kind of a thing happening at your construction place or any place, industries or any other place. Fourthly, poor physical or dental health. One of the first things that people do after rescue is they take them to the hospital to get themselves checked for two things. One is on their dental health, because your dental hygiene will tell you as to how healthy you have been. And secondly, it is to do with your physical health. That will help me know whether you've been abused or whether you've not been abused, right? So if you see that happening, then you will definitely have to ensure and tell your ma'am or your sir or anybody that you've probably seen someone who has an identifier of human trafficking. Small little children serving in a family restaurant. I heard once of my colleague who went to a bar to rescue a child, and he was talking about every alcohol beverage over there. He was 12 years old. He knew everything. He knew rum, he knew gin, he knew whatever else, breezer, whatever else was there, beer. Everything was being named by him. It's not normal for your 12-year-old to name it, right? And then that is how he got rescued, and then he was later repatriated to his home. Tattoos and branding on the neck. A lot of people say it is a very abroad term. Abroad ಅಲ್ಲಿ tattoo ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ madam, abroad ಅಲ್ಲಿ brand ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ, ಇಲ್ಲೂ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ತುಂಬಾ ಜನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. They put the name of the organization either on the neck, or they give them like a ring, or they give them, they stamp them. I have seen stamps here. I have seen stamps on the elbow. KGF movie noted, you will see that they have also been branded. That is one of the good examples. They brand them to say they belong to my construction site, they belong to my factory, they belong to my brothel, and they can't come to your brothel. That is what branding means. Fourthly, they appear destitute. Like I said, they don't have clothing, they don't have anything like like powder, lipstick, they don't have anything like that. They and oil, basic oil for the hair, shampoo irala, soap irala. I've gone for rescues and it will be smelling. And when I ask them, you never took bath, did you even take bath? They'll show me such a small piece of soap saying ಇಷ್ಟೇ madam ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ನಮ್ಗೆ soap, 1 month ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ನಾವು ಅಂತ. So basically what they'll do is one entire soap bar ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದನ್ನ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. They'll cut it and they'll give to them saying for 1 entire month this is all you can use. Absolutely no care. They don't allow them to go out in public. They usually lock inside the homes or inside the brothels, inside the facilities by itself. They avoid eye contact. They don't have anything to do with people who question them. When we go to inquire, investigate, and rescue, we see immediately they look away from us. They don't want to talk to us because they're scared. They have that thing of fear inside of them. So they avoid eye contact, social interaction, and authority figures, especially police jate ella ನೀವು ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರ ಮಾತೇ ಆಡಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ ಜೊತೆ. So you need to ensure if you're going with the police to see that the police is in their civil clothes, right? Seeming to adhere to a scripted or rehearsed response. For example, like I told you, any boy you show or any girl on the street who's selling something, you ask him, ಏನ್ ನಿನ್ ಹೆಸರು, he'll tell you his name. ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ? ಹ್ಞೂ ಅಕ್ಕ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಯಾವ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸ್ಕೂಲು. Those are scripted messages that are already given to them. ಅಮ್ಮ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇದಾರೆ, ಇವಾಗ ತಾನೇ ಸ್ಕೂಲು ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರು ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರನೇ. They are very very smart, you know. These are some things that are scripted. The supervisor will write and give it to them saying ಇಷ್ಟೇ ನೀನ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಇದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ you can't talk anything, and they'll run away from you if you ask any more questions. So that is another identifier. Checking into hotels or motels with older males. So you see the little girls who go with big or adult males. These are some identifiers. They refer to those males as, hey, he's my boyfriend, he is somebody who I love. So these are some things. If you go with your friends to a resort, or if you go to a hotel and if you find this, please ensure that you tell your seniors or you tell your professors about this, right? So these are a couple of identifiers for you all. Human trafficking and their identifiers, I found 5 issues that you all can be a part of. The first issue is child marriage. You can see that in their visual cues, they will not be wanting to talk to you. Their behavior, their conversation with you will be very minimal. They'll run away from you if you ask them, are you going to get married tomorrow? They're not going to talk to you. Little girls with Mangal Sutra and Sindhu, if you've seen them, they are a part of child marriage. They wouldn't have even reached 18. I've seen girls as young as 9 who will get married and who will run away when I have to talk to them. And not to forget girls who are 3 years old also who have, you know, sort of gotten married by their parents. But these are some situations where you will have to report. You will have to tell them because it's very unfair what is happening. Younger men with older, young girls with older men, right? This is something that you will have to report to your people. Second identifier is with organ trafficking. So when you see somebody with organ trafficking, how do I know that whether they've been organ trafficked or no? One is, can you see this picture? They all have sutures. And their kidneys have all been taken off for 1 lakh, 2 lakhs. And they also say that, ನಾನು 1 lakh ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ madam, 1 lakh ಗೆ you give me your kidney and I also take care of your children. They'll be very happy to give their kidneys, and honestly they will take care, they will provide everything that the child needs, and whoever is given the organ. But that's not the right way. That is human trafficking, and you will have to report. Individuals who come out of clinics and hospitals with children who look vulnerable. Have you seen in some of the movies they show that there's a mother who goes to give her blood and who probably gives her kidney, who's coming out with her child and a bundle of money? That is human trafficking at the end of the day, right? So yeah, this is to do with organ trafficking. The third one is bonded labor. Bonded labor is they come from a different state or from a different province, different territory, different village. They are always under a supervisor. For example, if I am sitting and if I'm making bricks, there is somebody constantly watching me, and that supervisor has all the rights, all the authorities to physically abuse me, sexually abuse me, and do whatever he wants with me and my children. That is bonded labor, right? And they're also not given minimal amount of salary, and they're made to work for long hours. So if you see this, please do report them. There's a truck that is filled with new laborers every day. Namdu hale office atra opposite, there was a big construction unit that was coming. Every day, literally every day, we should see new people coming in. It was never the old people. There were literally only 20 people who were coming in, but always a new person. There were always new people coming in. And when we figured that, that was a case of bonded labor. So these are some things that you all can see as students, you all can see as the youth of the nation, and probably just report and save lives. This, the last one for an identifier is sex trafficking. And these are, these are the identifiers. They are definitely from a different state or district. They are under a supervisor. There'll be injuries on his or her body. Phones, even if they have multiple phones, they'll also have multiple SIMs for the phones. They take a phone, keep it, throw the phone, take another SIM, call people. That's how, you know, you can probably check whether they are victims of sex trafficking. Any hotel, any PG, any room, any spa, any other place that you go to, if you see this happening, if you see someone who's small, if you see someone who's sad, if you see someone who has injuries on his or her body, if you see someone who's wounded, if you see someone who at least comes out and who tells you that yes, this is happening to me, ensure that you go to the nearest police station. Ensure you tell your ma'am or your sir about this too. They usually wear sexual provocating clothing, which means in India, usually you're asked to cover your body well, right? You're not asked to show your body to people, but illy they force them. They say wear small clothes. If you go to North India, they'll all tell me, Didi, usne bataya, chote kapde pehno. Chick chick batte hakoli anta heltare madam namge anta. You know, this is something which is not at all happening. It is really sad when you hear it from them, but this is another identifier. And they absolutely have no decision making skills. Sometimes they have babies also with them, okay? I have seen a 13-year-old 3 times who's aborted her baby. 4th time, the doctor told me she aborts her baby. This time, she'll never have babies. So she was given an option whether she wants to go ahead with abortion or pregnancy, and she went ahead with pregnancy. So I have taken care of people who are 13-year-old taking care of her own baby. So babies will be under their care. So these are some of the identifiers. Why does human trafficking happen, right? Like I told you, there is a need and there is a supply. The green is to tell you that there are perpetrators, and the gray is for general public. So when I say what's the need for a perpetrator for human trafficking, it's easy money. I'll get a lot of money, and trust me when I say a lot of money, it is a lot of money. For some, it is just 50,000 per person. It is not per year; it's per person. So if I take 10 girls per month, just imagine the amount of money that I'll be getting, right? And for general public, like for the poor and for the vulnerable, what is the need to get into human trafficking is poverty. I don't have money, madam. ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಕಾಸಿಲ್ಲ. I am uneducated and I have to give my family. I have to provide for my wife. I have to provide for my children. And the only way I can do that is through getting into human trafficking. That is the need part of it, right? Now, deception. What happens with deception is I have never seen anyone who is in the general public or who is in the vulnerable part of it be I mean, they are the ones who get deceived basically. Like the perpetrator deceives them completely. He either says, I am in love with you. He either says, I want to marry you. He either says, ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಬನ್ನಿ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ ಜಾಗ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ PG ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಓದ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ಬೋದು ನೀವು. Or they say, you know what, you can come into this place, you can work here, you can take your time off here, they'll give you good money here. All of that is deception, right? That's what happens. Okay, for my last 2 slides, one is who can file a complaint. All of you may be thinking, madam, you probably worked in this, you know, and other people can do it, but then I don't think I can do it. The law says any person can file a complaint against this crime. That is how this law is built. Any person through phone, through email, you can go to the police station or through all of these people, or you can even call them and tell them something like this has happened. You can go to NGOs, you can go to your social worker, you can go to your labor inspector, you can go to your railway police, and you can go to any public servant. You can go to any public servant, right? Your doctors, your nurses, your nursing homes, your professors, any of them, you can go and you can file this crime with them. Where can I file the complaint? You don't have to necessarily go to a police station to file this complaint. You can go to all of these places. You can go to Childline, Child Welfare Committee. You can go to your Department of Labor. Online portal. Nange, actually, I don't want to show my face. So can I do something with online portal? Yes, you can go to your online portals. There is also your National Commission for Women, State Commission for Women. You have your child welfare officers. You have your district police. You have your women's helpline. Easiಯಾಗಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ 1098. That is a number you all can remember, right? You can quickly call them and tell them that, you know, I want to file a complaint, and they'll be able to help you with this. These are some important sections to remember. So why I put this slide is, when I go to a police station and when I tell them that, you know, I want to file a complaint, because I'm young, because I am a woman, they will not take it seriously from me. They say, what do you know? How do you know this is bonded labor? ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು human trafficking ಅಂತ, ನೀವೇನ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ. They honestly have questioned me on this. So this is my homework for them. So when I go and when I tell them, for example, organ trafficking, these are the sections for organ trafficking. I have seen this happen there. Please, can you file in a complaint? They'll be more than happy to file in a complaint because you know about it. I will be sending this slide to you all so that it will be helpful in some manner or the other. With these sections, I just hope that I have done my part to just help you all just know the identifiers of the crime for sexual abuse and human trafficking. I'm happy to take questions at this email. Please note my email down if you need, or you can get in touch with Anuj sir or ma'am for the same. Over to you, Anuj sir.
Yeah, if you have any questions regarding today's the session, you can send the questions to my email ID, which I'll put it in the chat box, and I will also tell you the it is ANUJPAUL.BARNABAS@christuniversity.in. So I'm just putting down my email ID in the chat box so everybody can note it down. Just give me a minute. Yeah. So my email ID is in the chat box, and I would just like to know like how all of you have been listening to the today's session, which Ms. Ravina Adam gave us. It was a very informative session. So I would just like to know, maybe if you want to answer, you can go ahead and answer. So so how do you identify a victim who has been trafficked? Like Ms. Ravina Adam gave us a lot of points. So if anybody can tell me like at least 3 to 4 points of how you can identify a person who's been trafficked, it can go ahead if anybody is willing to go ahead and answer the question. Yes, Mr. Sachang says abuse marks. That is true. Anybody else who would like to unmute your mics and go ahead and answer the question? Yes, Ms. Vaishnavi, I see that you said wounded and they're not confident. Yes, there are people who have been wounded. Personally, I've also seen people like who have been trafficked, like Ms. Ravina said. Children, especially children who have been trafficked, they actually very smart. When you try to talk to them, they actually do not want to establish a conversation with you because they know that they will be questioned further and they'll just run away. They either travel in groups. This is what I have noticed from my personal experience. They either travel in groups and then when they reach a particular busy area, they split up. They're very smart. So if they know that if you travel in groups, they will be caught. So they split up. The leader itself will be in the gang, and he'll say, okay, you go to this place. See, there's a lot of people there. You go to this place and just act as if you don't know anything. If they keep questioning you, start crying. They all do all these kinds of drama just for us not to identify them. And if you check them and if you check their hands, some of them will have like physical injuries. They'll either have some kind of they'll either be visually impaired, or they'll have broken legs and all that. So this in the trafficker himself makes them hits the people, breaks the limbs of the children, and he makes them they would not have been born handicapped, but he makes them get handicapped, and in order to create empathy for the public. So this is how some of the children are trafficked. Just extra piece of information for you all to know. Yes, Ms. Hemaprabha, they also lack self-confidence. Does anybody have any questions which we have like the floor is open to question and answer session. We have like around 5 to 10 minutes of question and answer session. Yeah, you can shoot out your questions.
ಹಲೋ ನಮಸ್ತೆ ಸರ್.
Yes, sir.
ಸರ್, ಇವಾಗ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ರೈಟ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟೊತ್ತನ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೀಗಾಗತ್ತೆ ಹಾಗಾಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ನಿಯಂತ್ರಿಸಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವ್ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ. ಏನಾದ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಒಂದ್ ಚಿಕ್ಕದಾದ್ರು ಜಾಗೃತಿ ಮೂಡಿಸಬೇಕು. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಬಾಲ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರನ್ನ ಮತ್ತೆ ಶಾಲೆ ಕಡೆ ಅವರನ್ನ ಮನವೊಲಿಸಬೇಕು. ಇನ್ನು ಹಲವಾರು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳನ್ನ, ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಸಹೋದರಿಯರಿಗೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗುತ್ತದೆ, ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಪಟ್ಟು ಬಂದಾಗ ಅವರು ಹೇಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು ಆ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕರಾಟೆ ಅಂತ ಮತ್ತೆ ಇನ್ನು ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಬೆಲೆಗಳನ್ನು ಅವರು ಪಾರಾಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆ ಸಂದರ್ಭಕ್ಕೆ ಪಾರಾಗಿ ಬರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಾದ್ರೂ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ.
Ms. Ravina, would you like to answer the question of Mr. Manjunath?
Yes, Anuj sir. Actually, it is a very interesting question. Actually, ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ solution question ಅಲ್ಲ ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ತುಂಬಾ ಒಳ್ಳೆ solution ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಾ ನೀವು, and I'm really liking it that it's so interactive. First
ಹಲೋ ಸರ್.
Yes, sir.
ಸರ್ ಆದಷ್ಟು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೇ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ನನಗೆ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಂಗೆ ಟೋಟಲಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಲ್ಲ.
ಸರ್ ನನಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ
ಸರ್. ನೀವು
ಮೇಡಮ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ಲಿ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೇ ಆದಷ್ಟು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡಿ.
ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಕನ್ನಡ ತಪ್ಪಿ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ, ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ತಪ್ಪಿದ್ರೆ ನನಗೇನು ಅನ್ಸಲ್ಲ, ಕನ್ನಡ ತಪ್ಪಿದ್ರೆ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ವರ್ಡ್ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ ಆಗಿದೆಯಾ ಸರಿ ಮಾಡಿ.
ಆಗ್ಲಿ ಮಂಜುನಾಥ್ ಅವರೇ, ರವೀನಾ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರು ನಿಮಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೇ ಉತ್ತರಿಸ್ತಾರೆ.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
ಓವರ್ ಟು ರವೀನಾ.
ಸೊ ನಾನು ಕನ್ನಡ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಸರ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಡೌಟ್ಸ್ ನನ್ಗೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ಹೇಳಿ, ಏನಕ್ಕಂದ್ರೆ ನನ್ಗೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು ಕನ್ನಡ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ನಾನು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ನೀವ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಒಂದು ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಫಾರ್ ದ ಎಂಟೈರ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್. ನೀವೇನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ನೀವು ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್ ನಾನು ಐ ಡಿ ನಾಟ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ವಿಮೆನ್ಸ್ ರೈಟ್ಸ್. ನಾನು ವಿಮೆನ್ಸ್ ರೈಟ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದು ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಟ್ರಾಫಿಕಿಂಗ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದು. ಅಂಡ್ ರೈಟ್ಲಿ ಲೈಕ್ ಯು ಸೆಡ್, ಹೌದು ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ಲೇಬೇಕು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. ಅದ್ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ ನಿಮಗ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು, ನೀವ್ ಹೇಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ. ಅಂಡ್ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ವೇಸ್ ಹೇಗ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ AHTU, ಆಂಟಿ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಟ್ರಾಫಿಕಿಂಗ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಇದೆ. ಆ ಯೂನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಗೆ ನೀವ್ ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ಅದ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂತ ನಿಮ್ ಮೇಡಮ್ ನಮ್ಗೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಐ ಯು ಗೋನ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ another session on that? ನೀವ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಕ್ರೈಸ್ಟ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ is going to get in touch with you all.
Yes, sure.
Yes. So that is one way, sir. One way of doing it. Currently awareness ನೀವು ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ನೀವು ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಈ ಸೆಲ್ ಗೆ ನೀವು ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆದ್ರೆ they'll be able to help you better.
Ravina ma'am, there's another question which Ms. Hebe Prabha has asked. She's asked us like, what is the stand of government in this matter? How does the government get involved? She wants to know.
Yes. So that's a great question. Thank you for this question, ma'am. So firstly, the government is very, very interested in this matter. They want to find a solution, but they're trying to figure out what the solution is. So let me give you an example. This is one of what the government has done. ಅವ್ರು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಆಪರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಬುಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಷ್ಟು ಹೆಂಗೆ ನಾವು ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಗೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಈ ಕ್ರೈಮ್, ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ರೆಸ್ಕ್ಯೂ ಹೇಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ರೀಪ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿಯೇಷನ್ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ರೆಸ್ಕ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಯಾರು ಇರ್ಬೇಕು ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಯಾರು ಇರ್ಬಾರ್ದು ಅಲ್ಲಿ, what can we do for this entire system which is so corrupt, which is filled with criminals. Okay, that is something that the government of India ಮಾಡಿರೋದು ಇದು. So they are interested in this and they're working towards it. Another thing they're also doing is they're trying to build in a database. First database ಬೇಕು ಅಲ್ವಾ ಎಲ್ಲಾರ್ಗು. We need to know who is trafficked, who is not trafficked. For that they need identification. Identification, I was trying to tell you that everything is morphed. ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಎಲ್ಲಾರ್ದು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಆಧಾರ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲಾರ್ಗು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಐಡಿಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ವಿತ್ ದಟ್ ಡೇಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಇವಾಗ ಕರೆಂಟ್ಲಿ. ಬಟ್ ದೆನ್ the government of India is trying to build a database currently. They are building up a lot of government procedures, protocols, processes ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ in place. They're also trying to see rehabilitation ಗೆ ನಾವ್ ಏನ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅಂತ. That is something they're also doing. Another thing that they've also done, which is very good, is they've set up AHTUs and the anti-human trafficking units. They have set up in between the police and in between the government. That is something that they have done. So these are the 5 things that I can think of as of now. Yeah.
And there's also, if you notice in the chat box, there's also a link which the host has put in. Like if you have any doubts regarding the AHTUC, you can check into this link and you will get a lot of information regarding the AHTU.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Okay, so let me just briefly ask you, like, how and where does human trafficking happen? If you were just wanting to know if you have paid close attention, so just wanting to ask anybody who has listened closely to tell me where exactly human trafficking happens. Does it happen in right next to your neighborhood, or does it not happen in your neighborhood? Yeah.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Maybe Ms. Ravina, if for those of them, if you could translate the question to Kannada also for those who did not understand the question that was asked.
ಅವ್ರು ಏನಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮಾನವ ಕಳ್ಳ ಸಾಗಣೆ ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು.
Yeah, anybody who wants to go ahead can give me the answer.
Yeah, they're dropping their
I
answers
think
in
they
their
have been
chat box. Please have a look in chat box.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Thank you for this. I think there's a question from Vaishnavi.
Yes.
You said children without parents are being targeted, but after rescue, where will those children go and who will take care of them? Excellent question, Vaishnavi. Where do these children go after? After the rescue, all these children first go to the local police station where there'll be a small interview a small sort of a talk with them. Not necessarily sometimes if they go to the CWC, which is the Child Welfare Committee. These are the two places where they go to, and they'll be given complete care, complete hospitalization, and complete repatriation measures. ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಬೇಕೋ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ government ಎಲ್ಲ. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. Are there any other questions? Where other question ಇದೆಯಾ ನಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳಕ್ಕೆ? Okay. So there's a lot of links which are being shared in the chat box. So please do take a look at the links, because they'll be very helpful for those of you who are interested into helping people who have been trafficked. You can take a look at these links so that you will be able to help NGOs and the police officials to go ahead and do rescue operations, and also social workers like ourselves can also go ahead and do rescue operations. So as students, what you can do is, like, if there are students in the session today, what you could do is, like, if you're finding any kind of suspicion, like if you're like the type of identifications which Ms. Rafina shared, if you find or if you're suspicious of any kind of habits which are marks which are going on in the society, you can immediately give a call to the child helpline or the police officials. If you know any police officials, you can call them and tell them, sir, like something strange is happening inside my neighborhood, could you come and take a look? And this will be taken taken care of the police officials and social workers. So this is one way we could help the society from alleviating the evils of human trafficking. So this is one way. If there's any other questions, we have two more minutes to answer your questions. So
Anutsa, if I may interrupt.
Sure, go ahead, ma'am.
So I got an email from Raksh Rao, and he is asking me, does the government take any action or step to stop this? That's a wonderful question, Raksh. Thank you for emailing me. And I just wanted to tell you, yes, the government is taking a lot of action against this. The government wants to stop this, but the problem with this is the human, you know, the tendency, like I said, there's a need and there is a demand. They're both. Like, so many times when we go, there are government servants also who are involved in this. They'll bribe even them at that. It's gone up to that level. That's the level of crime that this is. There is a darker web that is involved in this, and it's too complicated. But what I just wanted to tell you is the government is doing everything that they can at every level, district level, state level, at every level, to stop this and to curb this from happening.
Yeah.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah, so we'll have, if there's any other question, we'll have the last question which can be answered. Yeah, Miss Ishita has asked, how can we get this certificate? There's a form there's a link to the form which has been sent. There's a Google form which you'll all have to fill down. The link has been sent by Pratibha ma'am. I will ask Ms. Pratibha to share the link again, so you can check into the link, and once you answer those questions, the e-certificate will be shared to you. Yeah. So that is our session has come to an end. Is there anybody who wants to, like, I can give you one more space for one more question. If any question needs to be answered, that's one last question which can be answered. Oh, okay. So that brings us to the end of our session today. So over to you, Ms. Baraka, for the vote of thanks.
I hope
Baraka?
today's webinar has created awareness on human trafficking and sexual abuse. Now, I would like to request Ms. Barka Goyal, NSS volunteer, to present vote of thanks to this particular August gathering. Over to Barka.
Hello everyone, good afternoon one and all. Today's eminent speakers, today's eminent speaker, Principal IQAC Coordinator, NSS Program Officer, heads of various departments, delegates, NSS volunteers, and my dear friends. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks today on this webinar. I am Barka Goyal, NSS volunteer, KLS Nidilingappa College. I would like to share the purpose of this webinar first. By quoting that, it is our hope that 21st century will be the last century of human trafficking, and that's what we are all committed to. As we know, laughter is the best therapy. Sorry, God. As we know, laughter is the best therapy. So human trafficking hides this thing. Like, I would like to explain it in few words before that. See, people just laugh and hide their pain. So there are many people who are into this human trafficking. They just smile and move around us and we don't identify it easily. But today's speaker made us aware that how can we identify them by different means. Thank you, ma'am, for this wonderful webinar. On behalf of the management, principal, NSS program officer, heads of various department, faculty, and students, we express sincere thanks to today's eminent speaker, Mrs. Rabina Adam ma'am, for investing her precious time and making us aware about this. Once again, thank you, ma'am, for joining and accepting our invitation. We also extend our sincere thanks to our principal, Dr. Arun B. Sonapawar, sir. Sir is an enthusiastic, dynamic person, a driving force for our institution, who constantly support us, guide us, and he also encourages in all the activities. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
We express our thanks to our management, principal, IQAC coordinator, NSS program officer, heads of various departments, delegates, NSS volunteer, my dear friends, for your active participation in today's international webinar on human trafficking and sexual abuse. I hope today's webinar made us understand a lot about human trafficking, and it was also very important to have the knowledge at this time. In this pandemic, as we know, there are many children who are getting into this thing. We as NSS volunteers can take up many steps to help these. An event of this dimension cannot happen overnight. It needs dedication and it requires meticulous planning and execution. It is because of determination and involvement to take on the completion of tasks beyond comfort zone, and that was our principal and NSS program officer team and their hard work which made today's international webinar turn into grand success. I would also like to thank Sagari Gowda for her mesmerizing invitation song. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to our NSS program officer, Dr. Pratibha K.S. ma'am, for providing this opportunity to propose vote of thanks on this platform. And I also thank ma'am for organizing various social activities and the team of NSS unit. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Barka, for such a wonderful vote of thanks of this webinar. Thank you everyone for being a part of today's webinar. Stay home, stay safe. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka. And we have put the feedback link in the chat box. You can give your feedback over there so that you'll receive your certificate. Thank you everyone.